Our shipyard, Astillero Verde, is located in a small fishing village called Punta Morales in Costa Rica. Where we are is absolute dreamland paradise for shipbuilding. Costa Rica is the perfect place not only to start a wooden ship build, but also an eco-based company. The longest time I've ever been at sea straight was 33 days. The ship becomes your home. I'm really not a traveler. A lot of people think I am, but I'm not, because I never leave my home. My home comes with me, like a turtle. I began sailing when I was 13 on the Great Lakes on a brigantine called St. Lawrence II, and it shaped my life. I've been dedicated to the field ever since. My introduction to the sailing world was straight onto square rig. I was age 16 and my best friend, we were sent as essentially ambassadors of Canada to the 50th International Tall Ships Race, sailing from France to England to Portugal. If you could imagine being 16 and then getting sent off, climbing to the top of that mast and seeing the other massive four-masters sailing alongside us in the middle of the ocean was a defining moment for me. I've very rarely seen such beautiful sights as that. I've let my work guide where I've gone, and when I got to sail on a vessel for cargo purposes that had no engine, it felt very different than anything I'd ever done before. Many people think of the shipping industry, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Modern shipping industry is full of environmental issues. I don't think that I could quantify the impact of the shipping industry has had on the ocean, from when they are built to their operation and to the end of life. So everything from water pollution, air pollution, noise pollution, where you get the materials and where those materials end up, there's a lot of problems there. I also then got the chance to work for a company called Sailmaster. And Sailmaster is the largest, most professional traditional rigging company in the world. Richard Tefson is an absolutely inspiring man who I got to work with. And I learned so much about business from him and how to run a company and how to do things right, that inspired me to take on something of my own of the same caliber. The sailing cargo or clean cargo industry does not yet have a proof of concept, and so that's what we're trying to do. That's what we will do. So Ceiba is going to be the largest emission-free ship in the world when she's launched at the end of 2021.
It's something we had talked about for years, just a dream that wouldn't let go.
I don't know how many emails went back and forth, so many, but we decided, yes, we are going to do this. We're going to plan a 2-week trip to Costa Rica, and we're going to see if this is the right place and the right time. Our company here in Costa Rica was registered in April 2016. Laying the keel is really the first step in building the ship. That's the registered birthday of the ship. Raised the first frame just several months later, and then after that we just continued to get faster and faster and faster. It was not hard for me to decide not to build in Canada. There are so many restrictions on vessels that it can be detrimental to the Canadian fleet. Wooden ships that are commercial are very, very difficult to get certified in Canada.
The shipyard is pretty unique because have Ceiba, that is the ship, and that is pretty weird in Costa Rica. I think in Central America is the only one that I at least I know.
Ceiba is a modern built vessel, but she's actually inspired by a ship called Ingrid from the Åland Islands in Scandinavia. So Ingrid was actually built in 1906 and sailed into the 1920s. We will have that exact kind of classic aesthetic with 3 masts and wooden and very nice shape. Ceiba will be 45 meters overall or 36 meters on deck, 8 meters wide, which is 24 feet.
They call it a double sawn frame, right? So it's built entirely out of wood and the frames are double sawn. So each frame is composed of 2 layers of sawn lumber. Crew of 12 sailors should be able to comfortably sail the ship, and we'll have room for another additional 12 trainees or passengers or associates.
I think that our neighbors in Punta Morales thought we were absolutely crazy when we began. So you have to imagine we essentially started renting a dry, grassy park with a few trees on it and started by building tree houses. And we lived in tents. So you had a bunch of people coming in, building tree houses, talking about Costa Rica's largest ship, and kind of just sounding pretty crazy, I think.
The project could fail at any time, right? You never know. Things can always go wrong. but it's a chance you gotta take.
I think it took them a long time to really believe not only were we going to build the largest ship in the history of Costa Rica, but we also really didn't have the money to do it, but it still kind of just kept coming in.
In Costa Rica, build boats and work with the community I think is unique.
Our project genuinely attracts people that are less bound by social norms. So it's very challenging for a lot of people to even begin to understand the concept of Ceiba, the concept of wanting to go into the jungle, of building a ship, the concept of clean cargo.
Studies say that over 90% of what we consume has been shipped by sea. Right, so that's quite a bit. Even the components for telephones, everything can go around the world several times before it ends up in your hand.
All of the wood for our ship is environmentally sourced. At this point, 100% of the wood comes from right here in Costa Rica.
We envision when we plant the trees, 10% of that trees can be used as timber for Ceiba. In that way, you have a circular economy. You plant the trees, you reforest, and then you can have some of them.
And to date, Ceiba has planted around just shy of 2,000 trees in the name of the ship, and we've cut well under 500 trees. So by the time Ceiba hits the water, our goal is to plant 12,000 trees in the name of the vessel.
The trees arrive as just logs, just raw lumber at the shipyard. Once they've arrived, they're inspected and rolled around to see how we can get the most out of the timber. Then we use either a wood miser, which is a bandsaw, or we have an Alaskan chainsaw mill. After the wood has been roughly cut into sections for the frames, they are stacked and left to dry. When we're ready for the next frame, we go to the lofting floor, we take all the measurements and patterns, we then put those patterns onto the wood itself, and then that's cut out with the ship saw. After that, it's inspected for imperfections, damage, and all of that is addressed. From there, usually with the help of a tractor, they make it up onto the framing stage.
We were getting a frame up every single week, and to try to encourage morale and keep people focused, we began having frame dinners. And there are 56 frames in total. And so every week, pretty much, one would go up and we would be frame dinner. What do you want?
There's something about the environment that really draws people together here, and you make friends very quickly and you really start to care for those people.
We live here, a lot of people, out of different cultures and different language, different age too. Experience about how to co-live is really amazing.
The fact that we are living together and working together and building something that's much bigger than us, like instantly bonds are formed and much stronger than usual. There's a lot of camaraderie between everyone that works here.
We have people working on the mylar, so drawing out the template of the ship, sawyers and our shipwrights and our woodworkers, our cooks, our cleaning staff, we have our film crew, our office people, we have instructors for our nonprofit course, and everything else in between. So we also have steel workers, and eventually we're going to bring in new teams, painters, caulkers, riggers, and then eventually sailors, navigators. I would definitely say that our shipyard stands out as a very unique place in terms of close to gender equality, such a diverse crew, different ages, all these sorts of things. We are not in the norm. We've had people, well over 30 different countries have applied to work with us, and we believe that that just kind of speaks to the mission of the project and to the beauty of the project. Wooden vessels have been part of human history for thousands of years, and they continue to be part of human history, especially in places that don't have access to modern machines, modern tools. For example, in Indonesia, there's a very active wooden shipbuilding culture. as well in Madagascar. They never actually switched out from engineless sailing cargo vessels that are wooden.
Wooden boats, they say, have been around for at least 3,000 years. Some will say 5,000. Who knows when man started floating on wood, right?
With proper maintenance, a wooden boat can last for well over 100 years. Wooden boats in general are designed so pieces can get damaged, they can break, and then those can be replaced and the vessel can continue.
It's part of nature, just like the sea is, just like the mountains.
Our hope is to synthesize old world building techniques with avant-garde new technologies. One thing that we're doing is having 2 electric engines that will be the largest of their kind in the world. So Ceiba will be able to actually regenerate power when we're sailing. We're using our underwater turbines that actually this is electric energy that we can use in the future when there is less wind. Additionally, we really hope to have solar sails, be sailing in equatorial zones that have a lot of sunlight, flexible, and that can also create energy.
The scale and the build and the project itself was just really appealing, and the ecological side of it is just a massive bonus and something I've really got a lot more into since coming here.
Coming here, everything was new, like seeing how a ship works, the parts, learn another language, and see how the company of Ceiba manage that, how they're just not build a boat and that's all. They try to be really inclusive in the way that they want to have courses for the community. They have a garden, they have a nursery for the trees. We have a lot of programs about ecology and sustainable. They work with the Women's Association, that's amazing.
Something I didn't expect with involvement in the Ceiba project is the positive impact we've been having on our community, one of the financially poorest communities in our country. And so by being able to bring in foreign investment and get it right out into the people in the form of wages, purchasing, renting homes, and more, we've seen a dramatic change in our community is seeing our nonprofit organization, which is our shipyard, Astillero Verde, kind of begin to flower. And we've offered free courses to our community where they can learn boat building, woodworking, blacksmith, English classes.
They are also involved in this circular economy that I was talking about, because the material that we use is some of the material that Ceiba is not using. So we have the wood, we have the knowledge. We just invite the people to come here and learn.
We're already seeing at a national level attention from the government. While this is just in the beginning phases, my co-founder, John Porras, who's from Costa Rica, is now sitting on a board and they are beginning to take shipping emissions into consideration. We really look forward to seeing how this can help shape policy within Costa Rica. Today, clean technologies are taking the forefront of people's attention all over the world. And this is because sustainable and clean technologies are more available, more prevalent than ever. Something that's very interesting that we've seen is that the advent of the coronavirus has actually drawn people's attention to the fractures that were already existing in these systems, and really drawing their attention to those and saying, look, these systems were already cracked and now they're broken. We're seeing a lot of freight come to a stop. We're seeing international trucking coming to a screeching halt. We're seeing so many links of this supply chain breaking. People are realizing that, and they're more interested than ever in not only renewable energy, but also in decentralization. So having smaller vessels, more numerous, that you can have a little bit more control or flexibility over, and ability to kind of change and give the power back to those people a little bit more than before. The largest ships in the world right now have been described as financial albatross. And so these massive ships are all sitting there, incapable of moving, with their crews often stranded aboard. And it's just creating a mess. And people are very much aware of it now, more aware than they've ever been before. And so we're kind of gently raising our hands and saying, hey, we have an idea. There are so many negative stories out there right now, and there are so many people pointing fingers right now when it comes to environmental degradation and environmental disrespect. As a company, we don't really try to do that. We try to just focus on the positive and say, look, we're in this situation. Here's a solution. Here's a way we can make it better. Right now, in this place, in this time, the world wants Ceiba to exist. By making everybody's belief become a reality, even having begun it, We've already proved the value because they believe in the value. It's easy for me to maintain my optimism even with this grandiose project because all the people that have been attracted to it. So in terms of people that I actually work with, my colleagues, our community, prospective clients, we're still aiming to get the ship in the water at the end of 2021. However, there would be quite a bit of work after that as well. So hopefully mid-2022, Ceiba will actually be operational.
We estimated the project at 3.5 years, and we're doing pretty good. We're getting close to halfway of total completion.
So launching a ship after she's been built is a very exciting moment. It's the first time that that ship actually goes into where it's going to live the rest of its life, which is the sea, the ocean. So we will be able to plan our launch very effectively. However, there are more challenges presented. So it's a larger fetch to get to the deep water channel, and the mud flats, you don't see as easily what's beneath them, and the water's less clear. We have a higher tides. So it's going to be challenging, but my answer now is how we launch Ceiba. It's going to be a combination of pushing and pulling, pretty much. It's possible.